You've just been convicted. I mean, how do you feel about going to jail? Are you confident you would be safe there, for example?
First off, if I go to jail, I go to jail. I will never back off a second. Look, I spent 8 years as a naval officer. I've committed my life to this program to get this done. I will never back off. I support Trump and the Constitution, and I'm not backing off 1 inch. If I go to jail, so be it.
Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, and we're going to look at an explosive interview with Steve Bannon that left Tucker Carlson speechless. And in the process, we're going to find out what Bannon and the Patriot GOP have planned to shatter the Democratic Party in November. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also make sure to click on that link below and visit our good friends over at Goldco. There's never been a better time to invest in the timeless value of gold and silver than right now with all of this economic insanity going on. And the Patriots over at Goldco want you to succeed so much that they're going to give you up to $10,000 in free silver when you open up an account with them. They're one of us, gang, but this is a limited time offer, so don't wait. Click on that link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com and let's weather this economic storm together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here.
You can't kind of help but notice that you were convicted of a crime, which is not actually a crime most of the time in Washington or ever, within the same 24-hour period as a guy who tried to murder a gubernatorial candidate in New York was released with no bail. What are we to make of these two events occurring the same day?
Well, as you can tell, the Democrats are completely lawless, and look how they've run this committee. There's no ranking member. There's no minority counsel. It's not like the traditional hearings that have galvanized the nation in the past. And Tucker, I think it's one of the reasons that it hasn't really had that big an impact.
Now, this is interesting. What Tucker alluded to there was the horrific and blatantly deliberate miscarriage of justice that happened over the weekend when the man who attempted to assassinate Lee Zeldin, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, was released without bail after being charged with just second-degree assault. And, of course, Tucker's like, remind me again what Stephen Bannon did? I mean, why is Bannon going to jail while this guy who actually tried to murder a gubernatorial candidate is sitting on his couch eating cereal and watching TV? Now, Bannon's response was to highlight the lawlessness of the Democrats, noting the illegitimacy of this kangaroo committee, which is true. It has no legitimate defense or opposition represented. It's a committee that began with its verdict already in place, and now it's just trying to convince the few people who are actually giving it the time of day that the predetermined verdict is the correct one. But what Bannon and Tucker are pointing out, bigger picture here, is that our permanent political class has officially instituted something scholars call weaponized legalism. That's the technical term for the politicalization of the law. Weaponized legalism. A weaponized legal regime, which is what we live in right now thanks to the Democrats, rhinos, and the legacy media. A weaponized legal regime uses the law for three purposes, okay? To deliberately undermine their political opponents, to strengthen themselves, their power, and their allies, and to show their power off in order to threaten and intimidate. Those are the three main objectives for the weaponization of the law, and that's precisely what the ruling class in Washington, D.C. has become. They've become a weaponized legal regime that uses the law as a political weapon. So this is exactly what we saw, remember, with the Justice Department when they launched an all-out investigation several months back against parents who opposed critical race theory being taught in their schools, and those parents had the gall of showing up at their school boards to tell them precisely what they thought of it. The DOJ actually invoked the Patriot Act in order to render these parents, in effect, domestic terrorists. I mean, this is weaponized legalism, and Tucker zeroed in right in on it.
Did you think during the course of this trial, maybe you should call Eric Holder and Lois Lerner, both of whom live in Washington, and just say, like, how'd you beat this? Like, what's the secret sauce here?
The secret sauce is that they're in power. And also, let's be honest, the Republicans have been controlled opposition. That's what has to change.
That's for sure.
This November, not only do we have to deliver a crushing blow to this Democratic Party apparatus, but then we have to really govern it. And I mean govern on offense. Every committee in the House has to be an oversight committee. We have to go after the Biden administration, which is illegitimate. You can tell they're illegitimate. Look how the Saudis mock us to our face. Look how the Chinese Communist Party have absolutely no respect. They understand he's illegitimate. We have to get in there in January. Every committee's got to be an oversight committee, and we have to have a real January 6th committee, including to get to the staffers now and see about the lies and misrepresentations they put on national television to defame people. I would tell the January 6th staff right now, preserve your documents, because there's going to be a real committee, and this is going to be backed by Republican grassroots voters and MAGA to say, we want to get to the bottom of this for the good of the nation. We have to know everything that went on, all the intelligence reports, exactly what went on, what was Wray's involvement, what was FBI asset involvement. I mean, just stuff. Look, just go to Revolver and see Darren Beatty on your specials, and when he's on the Tucker Carlson show. Right there alone leads you to all types of inquiry we have to get to the bottom to.
Yeah. If, Republicans win and Mitch McConnell's still running the Senate, you got to wonder, is it even worth it? But I'll let you and the political guys fight that battle. Steve Bannon, I appreciate your coming on tonight of all nights. Thanks very much. Good luck.
Thanks, Tucker. Appreciate it.
So Tucker began by pointing out that you had people like Eric Holder, right, who weaponized the Justice Department under Obama. He was charged with contempt of Congress. Lois Lerner, she weaponized the IRS under Obama. She, too, was charged with contempt of Congress. And yet, of course, nothing happened to them. No D.C. court gave those charges the time of day. But when it comes to Steve Bannon, they're throwing the book at him. And we all know why. Because Bannon, unlike anyone else, other than Trump and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, Bannon is challenging the reign, the very continued existence of the permanent political class. And that's why there has to be a massive MAGA revolution come November, because when there is, that's when we shatter the Democratic Party. The huge mistake that the Democrats made with this J6 committee is that they've unleashed mutually assured destruction. The Democrats, in effect, created a new weaponized legalist precedent just months before they will most likely find themselves in the congressional minority. So the hunters will then become the hunted, because now Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene will have subpoena powers. And in addition, they'll also have the power to rescind. So we'll most absolutely see this House contempt vote against Bannon rescinded. And even if that weren't to translate into the legal sphere, Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz thinks his conviction is going to be overturned. Take a look.
The Bannon conviction, if this is treated like an ordinary case, 2 misdemeanors in the District of Columbia, at most probation. What do you think of this verdict, and what do you think of what's likely to happen to him?
Entirely predictable and entirely in violation of the Constitution. The only provision of the Constitution which appears basically twice is trial by jury in front of a fair jury. Number one, he didn't have a fair jury. Number two, the judge took his defenses away from him. The judge denied him a jury trial. They wouldn't allow him to put on evidence that he believed that there was an executive privilege involved and he wanted a judicial determination before he violated the executive privilege. That issue could not be presented to the jury. So as I predicted on this show and other shows before, the conviction was a foregone conclusion. The only issue is, will it be reversed by appeal, either by the appellate court in the District of Columbia or by the Supreme Court? I think it's very likely that this conviction will be reversed at some point.
Well, there you go. Would that not be amazing to see? A massive MAGA GOP taking over Congress, every committee in the House becoming an oversight committee, and calling in one Democrat after another to testify on how the law has been weaponized by this political regime, and then begin watching them throw each other under the bus. And it'll be more sweet to know that all of that will be happening under the direction of a fully acquitted and exonerated Steve Bannon. Every week, we have our Insiders Club gathering where you get access to a live Q&A and exclusive interviews with people like Mike Lindell and Sebastian Gorka. Again, all live. As censorship ramps up and the fight for freedom in our community gets more intense, the Insiders Club will be a key component to getting the message out and bringing like-minded patriots together. So click on that link below now to join. I hope to see you there soon. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how a Trump-DeSantis dream ticket is a go. The agreement has already been made. All as Democrats are panicking over 2024. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.